Bruins Beat is brought to you by PrizePicks.
And welcome into the Bruins Beat, presented by PrizePicks. Go use that promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And we're presented by Gametime. Go use that promo code CLNS to get $20 off that first purchase. Terms apply. And don't forget to subscribe to us over at Bruins Rinkside on YouTube. We have podcasts coming all the time. 6 a week, Bruins Beat, Poke the Bear, and Pucks with Haggs. Go do that. Great stuff over there. Live streams, interviews, scrums. And then if you don't like looking at us, you just want to listen, make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean. There's so many, but we're everywhere. And if you're a Patriots or Celtics fan, Patriots Press Pass, Celtics All Access, those are fully cooking. We're recording this on September 11th. And today, September 11th, Boston joins the 9/11 Memorial and Museum's Tribute in Light, born in New York as twin beams over Lower Manhattan at dusk. Landmarks across Boston and Cambridge will glow blue from City Hall, Fenway Park, and the Prudential Tower to the Zakim Bridge, the hub on Causeway, Berkeley Performance Center, and more. The tribute, now in its second year, was spearheaded by our friends at Gametime Media here in Boston. Take a minute to step outside, look up, and remember the lives lost and all who were forever changed. Boston remembers. I'm Evan Marinofsky. It's Pete Blackburn. Pete,
hey, how are you? Great job covering all the bases there. That's a lengthy intro, and you nailed it.
Hit everything. Well, as we always say, this whole show is on a teleprompter. So, like, you have the script in front of you. You know exactly what to say next. So
I can't read, so this is going to be a difficult challenge for me.
It's hard. I can barely read, so I'm not that far ahead of you. You have PrizePicks too, though, don't you?
We do, yeah. Presenting sponsor of our show, What Chaos.
What Chaos, and that's been cooking. And you're a married man now. That's the other big development this summer. You are fully married, so congratulations.
Yeah, me and like every other young-ish NHL player, I jumped on that bandwagon. They just like you look at your feed in the summer, and it's just a different player getting married every weekend.
Yep,
it's the best.
Yeah, and I'm starting to hit the age where friends are getting married, saving dates for next year, the year after, bachelor parties, and all those types of things. So I'm like, I look at that. I feel like that age is like a car wash. You enter in, you're in there for a long time, and then you're pretty much done. I'm just entering in to that.
Hey, what are you, like 19 now?
15.
There you go.
15.
Nice.
Yeah, my friends are advanced. I'm not. So
I'm exiting that car wash. I was one of the last ones of my friend group to actually get married. I think I got one or two more coming up, and then I think I'm done. No new friends, no new weddings.
Whenever I get married, I'm going to invite you just out of spite. Just like, nope, we're making him, and we're gonna make you very involved in that just for saying that. You're jumping right back into it, my friend.
Brother, there's two options on an RSVP. You don't get to make that decision for me.
That's true. You can say no. You can say no. We're gonna force you to be. I'll do it at your house or something. Make it really interesting. How are you feeling about the Bruins? What are the vibes right now for Pete Blackburn?
I'm just excited to see him back, and I'm excited to see what they are. Like it's hard to gauge the vibe, the meter right now because there's just so much uncertainty. What I'm hoping and like what I'm clinging on to right now is that it's not going to be as bad as last year, and whether it's good or it's bad, it's not going to be that bad, and you should get a sense of where this team is headed or where they are. And that's going to be fun to find out. And it's going to be interesting to find out. And so my expectations aren't very high. Like they could be a bubble team and I would be unsurprised. They could make the playoffs and I'd be like, yeah, that kind of makes sense given like how many things went wrong for them last year. And like, they've still got some pillar pieces. And if the health is there, Swayman's better. They could be like a fringe playoff team. And the only way that I think I'm going to be disappointed is if they are both bad and uninteresting. And I don't think it's going to be the case, at least not to the degree that it was last year. We all survived last year.
Yeah, barely, but
barely.
We did. I agree more or less. I think when I look at them, I think their defining thing is going to be, they're not going to be anywhere as bad as people think they are, but they're not going to be great either. No. Like I think they're not even, I don't want to say they're not even going to be really good at their best. Like I think their ceiling is like a wild card team, but I think their floor is not like Gavin McKenna. Like to me, their floor is picking 9th next year. Let's just say, like, if that's they are kind of the bottom part of the middle. And that's where I think they are. They're not going to be as bad, but they're not going to be as good as some people think they are. And there are ways for them to make the playoffs. There are opportunities, and there are ways that they're not going to suck. But then there are also clear holes with them. I mean, I think 5-on-5 scoring is right up there. And that to me is number one. I don't think they have enough. I don't think there were really a lot of options in the offseason to fix that in one offseason. But still, I think that's a huge thing. And I don't know, outside of Pastrnak, and you also have to wonder, like, is Morgan Geekie going to be the same guy he was last year? Who are your high octane offensive guys? So that's my biggest thing. I think that's what's holding them back. But then on the other end, like, defensively, they should be much better. Swayman should be much better in net. That should be expected. And the power play should improve. They should not be 29th with their power play. So I fall somewhere in the middle. I think, like, I've said this a bunch, I think they're picking like 11th or 12th come the draft.
Yeah, and like, I think you're bang on with a lot of the things that you said there, but I also think that, like, therein lies the problem in a way, is that, like, the worst place to be is in the middle, and, like, perpetually in the middle. And if you're in the middle for a year or two, a few years, then that's fine. Unfortunately, if you're going to be, if this is going to be a bridge year and they're not going to be a very good team, part of me, like, almost wishes that they were so bad that, like, McKenna would be in play. And I just realistically, like, a lot of things would have to go wrong for McKenna to be in play, or they'd just have to really get lucky in the lottery for him to be in play, which, like, maybe that does happen. It happened to the Islanders this year where they got really lucky, and it happens to certain teams. But, like, most likely they will end up in the middle, and you just don't want to be stuck there. And it's kind of easy to be stuck there. But yeah, I think that the scoring is an issue. Where are you going to get the goals from? They did make some bets that I'm excited to kind of see how it plays out. Like Mate Blumel, like, I'm excited to see if his scoring in the AHL can translate to the NHL level. And, like, I don't think it's a bad idea to make those bets that they're making. And on top of that, like, the bottom six has a little bit more identity and a little bit more sandpaper to it. Do I like the price that they had to pay for it? Probably not, specifically with Tanner Jeannot, but I like Tanner Jeannot as a player. I like what he profiles as a bottom six player. I'm happy he's a Bruin, but I just don't like the price tag. And it is what it is. We're moving on. We've already processed that. And I just think seeing them be a little harder to play against, see them be a little bit nastier, is going to provide a better product from an entertainment standpoint, and it's going to make them not an automatic W for other teams on the calendar, and I think that that's a step in the right direction.
It's funny, one of my biggest criticisms of them last year was, like, you're missing a lot of veteran guys. You're missing, like, you've had an influx of veterans leave, be it free agency, trades in the past bunch of years. And that 23-24 season, they overachieved. And they had a lot of veterans on that roster who might have been 7th D or, 13th forward type guys, but mattered. Their voices mattered in the room. And I know fans sometimes kind of laugh at that, but that stuff does make an impact.
Yeah, I agree. And I was going to say, I think the word you're using is wrong. Like, they had veterans. I just don't think they had leadership, or not enough leadership. And those two things are very different. And when things got off the rail for the Bruins last year, off the rails, there weren't enough guys to grab the team and put them back on the rails. And to me, that was a huge problem. And I still think that problem exists with this team. And it's part of the reason they don't have a captain. And I think that you saw from the quotes that Don Sweeney gave earlier this week, he said, if somebody emerges as a captain, they'll be the captain. What that says to me, and it's something that we already knew to a certain extent, is that this team doesn't really have a defined leader right now. They have defined very good players. David Pastrnak, one of the league's best players. Charlie McAvoy, one of the league's best defensemen. Are either one of those guys leaders, like pure leaders, enough to hand over the keys and the reins to them and put the C on their chest? I think the answer right now is no. And they have an opportunity to prove that right now this season. and they got to seize it if they want to be the C.
That's a very good point. I agree with you on that one because I think you're right. I think there's a public perception that Pastrnak earned it because he was so good at the end of last season, but that doesn't necessarily mean he was great in the room. I mean, he talked to media after, and that's terrific. But clearly, internally, they are not ready to give him the C, nor are they ready to give McAvoy the C. And I agree with you from the sense of they would go off the rails last year, and they were missing guys like Shattenkirk or Pat Maroon who could get guys back on and could kind of refocus the team. And we don't know if, Acimont, Jeannot, Corrali. We don't know for sure. A little more with Corrali because he's been here, but we don't know for sure if those are the guys to do it. I give them credit, though, for trying to address that. Now, they did it, and it cost a lot of money. So I don't know if it's worth the full investment that they did, but I appreciate that they went in that direction. It was expensive. Now, I will push back on one thing. Usually, I would agree with you on the middle thing. Being stuck in the middle sucks because you see it in the NBA, you see it in any sport. You're just always in it, but not really in it. With the Bruins, they've always shown a penchant for wanting to make the playoffs and wanting to contend. Coming up here, you had a first this year, 7th overall pick. You have 2 firsts next year and 2 firsts the year after that. So, those picks shouldn't be top 10, but they're still first round picks, and those are still valuable. You can make those picks, which is the influx of hopefully high-end talent that you desperately need, or you can package some of those picks and make trades because the cap is going up and you will have that space. So I am okay with them spending a year in purgatory, drafting 11th, and then they have the Leafs pick if it's 21st or 22nd. Like, I'm okay with that because that's 2 more high-end guys. Typically, the higher you pick in the draft, the more NHL ready they are, so to speak. So you hope that those guys are at the NHL level or in pro hockey in a year or two. So that's why I'm not super worried about them being in the middle. Now, the roster they have, like, they're missing a lot of high-end talent outside of Pastrnak, McAvoy, and Swayman. So that I do worry about, but being in the middle for, 3 to 5 years, I don't see that being in the cards because they have those first round picks.
Yeah. I think that's fair. And like what I was saying is you can be in the middle. You don't want to be stuck in the middle. And
correct.
I think what you're saying is correct. And I also think that when you look at this roster that they're entering the season with, this is not going to be a long-term roster in a lot of different spots. Like this is not the team that you're locking yourself into, which is also part of the reason this very much feels like a bridge year, and it's okay to end up in the middle in a bridge year. Again, it's when you get stuck there that's not where you want to be, and they have an opportunity to not end up there, but they have to tread carefully and they have to make the right moves as to make sure that they're not there long term.
Yeah, if you're still drafting 11th in 2029, 2030, that's a problem.
Bad.
You got a problem. You got a bad problem. Because just as you said, if you stink, like even when they sucked last year, it was still like, ooh, they're going to get a high pick. Like, haven't had one of those around here in a while. And it's like, all right, who's going to emerge? Like Fabian Lysell gets some games at the end of the year. You write the season off. It had been the first season that they'd had that way since 06, 07. So it'd been a long time. It's like, all right, well, they're kind of due. You start to pile those up. That's not good. And there is part of me, though, that does worry. Like, can Elias Lindholm break out? To me, that's a big one. Because if they are in play for McKenna this year, or if they really didn't improve, I think him not breaking out, taking that next step, I would assume Elias Lindholm would have had a bad year this year if they are back at the bottom of the league again.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I also like that's you don't want 2 years at the front of that contract to be disappointing. Like at that point, you're kind of saying, well, shit, now like we're stuck with this. And you had flashes of Lindholm last year where you're like, oh, all right, like top 6. He's not the number 1 center that they wanted. And that to me is pretty clear at this point. Like he's a number 1 center maybe on this team, but it's a product of them being thin down the middle. But he shouldn't be a number 1 center on a really good contending team. And I think that's where we've landed. What I will say is that Last year's instability, I think, manifested itself in a lot of different places, and Elias Lindholm was certainly one of those places. And like you can kind of group Zadorov in there too as being a new arrival with Lindholm, and obviously he had a tumultuous year as well. But when I look at Zadorov, I look at the fact that McAvoy and Lindholm missed so much time, and he was pushed into matchups and minutes that he really wasn't equipped to handle, and like frankly, he wasn't signed to handle those minutes, and so. I'm willing to give both of those guys a fresh start this year and see what they can do with it. I have my reservations about both of them, but I also think they can both be very serviceable as long as they're not miscast.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to get more into sort of where they're at and kind of what track they are on. But first, this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. I had a huge hit this past weekend. Drake May, Demario Douglas, Lamar Jackson, Justin Jefferson, they came up big for me. And again, PrizePicks offers so many great deals, especially on football weekends. It is the place to be. It makes the game so much fun. I will say I'm expecting a bounce back week from Drake May against the Dolphins. I am. So I like him more passing yards this coming weekend. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. PrizePicks, they put their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. PrizePicks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Who doesn't want to be right, Pete, right? Who doesn't want to be right? Everybody wants to be right. It's what we're seeking in this life, is just to be right all the time. So PrizePicks offers you that chance. We've touched on a good amount of things here. Swayman's an interesting one because he was below average last year, has a tumultuous training camp. It is drama. I remember this time last year, it was starting to ramp up. And then it was sort of the whole month of September, every podcast. Like if you go back to like Bruins Rinkside, I imagine what chaos is the same. You go back to that time, September 24, and like every graphic is just Jeremy Swayman. And like, is he going to resign? Where's he getting traded to? He's going to have a full training camp this year. New coach. Coming off a bad year last year. Like the ingredients should be there at least for him to have a bounce back year.
Definitely. And I keep having to remind people of this over the summer is that I'm not going to make excuse for Jeremy Swayman, and I'm not going to say that like last year wasn't bad. It certainly was. But if you recall, there was a 2-month stretch from like December to February where he was one of the best goaltenders in the league. He was like a 910, 915 save percentage throughout that stretch.
He was damn good.
And when I think about that, like obviously that's not good enough on a 2-month sample at a full season. But what is that sandwiched in between? The front end, he's coming out of training camp, the contract negotiation, whoever you want to put the blame on there, put the blame on, but acknowledge that it wasn't normal for Jeremy Swayman. It was an absolute mess coming into the season, and there was that instability. Then there was the instability with the team and Jim Montgomery and all the shit that was going on there. And then what happened after February? The team fell out of contention. They sold off a bunch of pieces, and then they limped to the finish line to close out the season. So like in a 2-month stretch where the Bruins were kind of, if at all, on solid ground, Jeremy Swayman was pretty good. And so that gives me faith, in addition to the fact that I actually think that he's a good goaltender, and with a little bit more stability and a little bit more normalcy heading into this season, and maybe, hopefully, fewer injuries on the blue line, he can once again be the goaltender that they paid for.
I think when you look at this, when you're projecting, right? I always go back to Moneyball when Jonah Hill's like, we need to score X amount of runs, give up X amount of runs against. If he's just consistently good, I'm not even saying like best, top 3 in the league. I'm saying just like fluctuating in the top 10, which is where he's paid, which I think are his abilities. They're a much better team. They're a much better team. And as you said, he will have a healthy decor in front of him. The decor on this team is not bad. I mean, again, like you have healthy Hampus Lindholm, fully healthy Charlie McAvoy. What is Mason Lohrei this year? Nikita Zadorov, Yoki Haru, like Andrew Peak. You have a pretty solid group in front of him. And I think, that makes a huge difference. You mentioned, like, another thing, I mentioned the drama from his contract stuff last year, which when you look back, like the comments from Neely, Hawk Tua girl was getting in on it, which, like, you're welcome for that. That's my crowning achievement of all time. I started that whole thing.
I totally forgot about that.
Someone mentioned that to me recently, and I was like, oh my God, I like put that out of my brain. You also had the coach on you had a lame duck coach who was on a 1-year deal, or not a 1-year deal, but had 1 year left, hadn't been renewed. So just, it was a perfect storm of shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not, again, just to go back to what you said, I'm not making excuses for Jeremy Swayman, but he should be better. Mm-hmm. And sort of like we talked about with Elias Lindholm, where it's like, if he's, if he can just kind of cosplay as a number one center, if he can just hang as a number one center, you're a completely different team. You're a much better team. And that puts all the pieces in place where, like, all right, you can have a real third line. Pavel Zacha can be on your second line, and like you can kind of guys fall where they should. You're a better team. It's the same with Swayman. Swayman's good in net. You're cooking. Now, I will say, Pete, and this is a question I raised earlier this summer. What if he has a bad year? What if Jeremy Swayman has a bad year? Like, that's not good.
Certainly not good.
You're in a bad spot if that's the case.
Yeah, you're in a pretty bad spot. But the thing about goaltending is, like, it can change on a dime for better or for worse. And like even if he has a bad year this year, I'll say I'll be a lot more worried. I'll say that. Like, you won't be able to write it off from the contract things, the instability. You'll have seriously more concerns about Jeremy Swayman, the goaltender, and his ability to be a number one. But I still don't think that fully removes the possibility of him being the guy. Like, think about Sergei Bobrovsky. Sergei Bobrovsky was an established 2-time Vezina winning goaltender when he signed that contract with the Florida Panthers. And he was cheeks in his first few years in Florida. And everybody was like, this is one of the worst contracts in league history. This is going to kill this team. Now he has 2 Stanley Cups. And throughout the course of those 2 runs, I guess 3 runs, if you want to go back to the year prior, where it was a little bit of Lion, but also Bob, like, he has been a dog and one of the biggest reasons why they have won the Stanley Cup. So, like, goaltending is very, very unpredictable, very, very fickle. But like, if Jeremy Swayman has a bad year this year, like we may be talking about this team in the running for McKenna, because you just can't. This is not a team good enough to survive bad goaltending.
No. And my theory with goalies is always, as you said, they fluctuate quite a bit. I would rather have a really good goalie year in and year out, where 1 year might not be great, but the next year they could pop and they could be the difference and they could be carrying you through the playoffs. And it's so unpredictable that in an 8-year stretch, there should be at least 4 years in there where they are really freaking good. And I think that's why, like, when people say, oh, you could just plug in a random goalie and they can carry you to the cup final, or they can carry you to the playoffs, or be nasty for you during the regular season. Yeah, you can, but the chances of that are so low. You can also go through many other guys who don't do anything for you, who hurt you, who don't give you any advantage at all. And I think that's the thing that Bobrovsky shows is, like, yeah, those first couple years were bad. He was even that 22-23 year when they, roundhouse kicked the Bruins out of the playoffs.
He didn't get them in. Like, Alex Lyon got them into terrible. The playoffs. Yeah.
He was not good.
Yeah.
But again, like, I agree with you on this. That's why when I hear people say, like, oh, just like Aiden Hill was always the example a couple of years ago. Like, oh, just a guy like Aiden Hill. It's like, okay, well, you go find that guy.
Right.
You have fun finding that guy. That's not
goaltending.
Easy.
The goaltending discussion is very, very interesting, because I do see both sides. I do see people who want to allocate a very small percentage of the cap to a goaltender and hope that you can end up with a guy like Aiden Hill, or like even Logan Thompson when the Capitals made a bet on Logan Thompson. Like, you can find those guys. I'm not saying that you can't, but it is a gamble. And you've seen teams like the Oilers, for as good as Stuart Skinner can be, the fact that the Oilers are paying so little for their goaltending puts them in a position where they can lose games because of the goaltending, and they have. And those games that they've lost because of goaltending have been very costly at points. And so that's the risk that you're running. The situation that you don't want to be in, if you're the Bruins or any team paying a high price for goaltending, is to have that fluctuation be as big as it's been or as it was for Jeremy Swayman last year. Like, you look at the ceiling for Jeremy Swayman at this point, it's like around 920, where like if you're getting a really good season out of Jeremy Swayman, he's going to be around 920 in terms of his save percentage. That is absolutely worth the price point that they're paying for Swayman.
Yes.
But what's the floor? And that's the big question for me. Like, if he has a bad year this year, like, what does that look like at the end of the year? What is the number? And, to that point, what's the middle number that you would be happy with to say, like, it wasn't his best, but that's good enough for Jeremy Swayman? Like, is it 910? Is it 905? Like, what's the low point that you would say that's good enough?
905 or above. Not good. 905 isn't good enough, but like, I'm not panicking. I'm not saying, oh my God, you've got to find a way to have him waive his no move and you've got to move on from him. And I don't like, again, I think it's wrong to, if he has another shaky year, an inconsistent year where it's like, he's got to go. But I do think if he does have another shaky year, you're sitting here going, oh God, did they invest their money in the wrong place?
And if you say he's got to go, like, you're acknowledging that you don't want this person that you overcommitted to, this goaltender. You don't think he can be your true number one. And at that point, what is the value of saying he's got to go? Like, what do you?
Because you're not getting. Back? What are you getting for? You're not getting anything for him.
You're probably gonna have to retain, and you're not gonna get that much back for him. So like, you're fucked either way.
Yes, and that's why I think even if he does have a bad year this year, you're not forcing him out the door. You're saying, no, we invested 8 years in this guy. We are betting that at some point there is going to be a breakthrough year. That goes back to what we were just talking about. So I think, again, so the Swayman conversation is complicated. I do enjoy, though, how when they had the goalie tandem, everybody loved Swayman. Everybody wanted Swayman as the guy, especially after that 23-24
Everybody loves the next
season.
guy.
Get him in.
It works. It works almost everywhere in every aspect of sports. If you don't have a true superstar who's established, everybody loves the next guy.
Next guy.
How many people were talking about Joe Milton for the Patriots when they had Drake May right there? It's like, you always love the backup.
The backup, the other guy, you don't see, oh, what if he got all that time? And then Swayman comes in, makes a couple comments. People are like, he sucks. Get him out. And I think it's so funny that, and it's like
it's like the mystery box.
Yes.
The mystery box theory.
It's zombies.
You got do you want the boat or do you want the mystery box? Well, the mystery box could be anything. It could be a boat.
Could be a ray gun, or it could be friggin' ballistic knives for those who play Black Ops 1 Zombies. You know what I'm talking about. I want to get more into kind of what track they're on. Are the Bruins on the right track? But first, our friends at Gametime. They're always on the right track, and they're back. And they couldn't have come back at a better time. College football season is back, and it's one of the most fun times of the year. Tailgates, hyped up crowds, and incredible finishes. The downside, though, can often be the process of getting tickets, queues, annoying login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, which nobody likes. But thankfully, the Gametime app is here, and they give the advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in a few taps. It's incredibly easy to use, and the Gametime guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. This weekend, big series. Red Sox host the Yankees, and you can get in Friday's game for $151 in the third base pavilion, which Gametime ranked as a top 1% value. I have sat in those seats, and I agree. They are really good seats on a Friday night against the Yankees in a wild card race. Sign me up. Take the guesswork out of buying college football or any sport tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Gametime app today. So I always like, they do polls. Is America on the right track? Or are we as a country on the right track? And the answer is no. Usually we are not. Are the Bruins on the right track? Are you confident in the direction that they've taken this offseason, that they've taken really since the deadline last year, trading everybody away? How do you feel right now? We're on the track, so to speak.
I will say more confident than America being on the right track.
Ooh,
That
same
bar
here.
is so low.
I'm more confident in the Sabres being on the right track than America being on the right track, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very much impossible to tell right now, at least from my eyes. Like there are so many pieces that they need, and this offseason, there was some good and there was some not so good. There's some encouraging signs. Like they get Haggs, and I think that's awesome. I'm excited about Haggs, and that's something that I was fully expected to be disappointed on with their spot in the first round. I was like, well, sure, they've got a pretty premium position here, not as high as I would have hoped, but like they still have a chance to get a good player. But do I have faith in this front office to actually draft the right guy? And I think they got it right. But I honestly think that it would have been hard to get it wrong. Like they could have traded the pick to the Islanders.
Saw that.
And maybe I don't know what the end result of that would have been, but I'm glad they took Haggs. I'm glad we have a guy who we can really like look at as a future franchise pillar. It's been a little bit with regards to that coming out of the draft, and that's exciting. Again, I kind of like the identity ads they had in free agency. I just don't like how many of them they tried to make in terms of like how many bottom six players that they signed and kind of overextended themselves for, because it's just not the way that I think good business is done in the NHL. Like you don't build from the back end forward, or like the bottom six forward.
Yes.
You build from the front six down. And I think that's a little backwards right now. And it is what it is. I'm not going to freak out over that, but it's just a little bit troublesome that seems to be something that they keep going back to in terms of building from the bottom six up.
Yeah, and I think when you look at their prospects outside of Haggs, or at least pre this year, it was like the guys coming up are going into your bottom six. They're not really going into your top six. And I think that was a big reason why I'm like, you need first round picks in these future seasons. And I liked that they went out and got another first for next year. And then they got the first from the Panthers for 2027. Like I like that they did that. Those are things they needed. So in that sense, I like the track that they're on for that. It's funny that I will
give them credit for the work they did at the deadline. Like I did not like the Marchand trade just from it was very hard for me to separate the emotions and the
fair
heart factor from that deal. But I do like, on the whole, the fact that they were able to commit to selling off valuable pieces and getting things back for them when the reality was that was not going to be a good team or a team worth holding onto those pieces for.
No. And I remember thinking it like in the lead up to the deadline, I'm like, they feel like they're going to play this one conservative, like Frederick gone, Justin Brazeau gone. But outside of that, like who's, are they,
like, are they really going to explicitly wave the white flag? And I didn't think that was going to be the case. I give them credit for doing it when it was probably the right call.
Yes. It's funny though. I saw that Islanders clip of them, the Islanders wanting to trade. Was it 16 and 17, I think, for 7. I would have hated it. And I know some people would say, oh, you want more talent more than you want someone high in the order. You have 2 firsts next year. You have 2 firsts the year after. You're going to make your mid first round, not mid. I don't mean like shitty first round picks. I mean like your literal mid first rounders. You're going to make those picks. 7 should be the highest you pick for a very long time. You make that pick. You hope you get your franchise guy, and early returns it seems like you did. I think when they do redrafts years from now, I know the Athletics doing them right now for the past bunch of years. I do think Haggs is going to rank higher than 7, and there are going to be guys ranked, drafted above him that are going to go below him. We'll see, but I agree. I think that's a strong thing. What I
will say about like the Islanders is I love the picks that they made at 17 and 18 with Kishan Aitchison and 16, 17, Victor Eklund and Kishan Aitchison. Like I like both of those players a lot, but I'm still not doing that deal if I'm the Bruins, because you need
No.
Haggs, you need the guy who fell like after being a consensus number one. Like, you lucked into having James Haggs there, and there's no guarantee that the Bruins make those same picks at 16 and 17.
There isn't. In terms of where I feel good about where they're at. First round picks, prospect pool's in a better spot than it was. Not perfect, but it's in a better spot.
Hard to be in a worse spot.
Yeah. My one area where I am shaky, where I don't know. When are they going to contend again? When are they contending? Because David Pastrnak's prime's not lasting forever. And I always say this, I harp on this. But like, does that force them to trade 2 of their upcoming first round picks or 1 of their upcoming first round picks for a guy that can help you in the now? You know, Rasmus Anderson's a name that gets thrown around. Marty Natchez is a name that gets thrown around. Do you want to get him and then try to, sign him to an extension? Like, that's my question. You can't spend 3 years or 4 years in the middle being a fringe contender with David Pastrnak putting up a bunch of points. That scares me. That worries me a little bit. And I do wonder. I want them to make those picks. As I said earlier, I want them to make those picks. But if there is a trade that pops up that's going to help them now and in the future, I think Pastrnak being on the roster and the age that he is, not that he's old or anything, but I think it kind of forces you to make that trade.
Yeah, I mean, it's projecting so far out, but like,
yes,
I don't know. And like, one thing that has to be addressed here is that we're at a point right now where there are a number of very, very attractive UFAs, pending UFAs next year that could be, no guarantee, but right now, as of today, Thursday, could be available in the next couple of years. And there are guys that would alter the trajectory of this franchise and the outlook with one swipe of a pen. Like, obviously you're looking at McDavid. If he's available, like, you're going to have to compete with 31 other teams and throw out a ridiculous amount of money, but it might be worth it. You're talking about potentially Kaprizov. You're talking about potentially
that seems
Jack
like
Eichel.
a disaster in Minnesota. Oh my God.
Yeah. The fact that got out is crazy, and also like very bad for the Wild.
Yeah.
Do I think that the Bruins will, make a run at Kaprizov? Probably not. But like, there's a Jack Eichel. If he doesn't sign his deal, like, there's Quinn Hughes. Like, you cannot rule out any of these things. And that's just like, those are things that are lofty pipe dreams, but you have to keep yourself open to them because they can change your franchise on a dime. And the Bruins are in a position where like they'll be in the market for that kind of thing.
They will be. I agree. And for you, what chaos this year, it's going to be kind of crazy because, drama's fun. Drama's fun. And you have the Quinn Hughes stuff is, are they going to try to engineer him to the Devils? Like, how is that all going to work? And then you have the Kaprizov stuff. You have all these guys signing. Marner in Vegas. What is that experience like? There's a lot of food for you this year.
There is. I'm very excited about it. Very excited. I just hope that we carry like some of this into the season. Like, I don't want like a week before the season, McDavid signs, Kaprizov signs, Eichel signs, and then like you're just banking on like the fourth option. So keep the options open. Keep the pipe dream. It's nice to dream. It's nice to have your vision board and to put like a superstar up there, because then that changes the conversation pretty drastically.
It does. And make sure to go follow What Chaos. And obviously make sure to subscribe to us, Bruins Rinkside, on YouTube. We got a lot of stuff coming, a lot of podcasts, live streams, videos, interviews, all that fun stuff. And if you don't like watching us, you can listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. And if you are a big Patriots fan, that's Patriots All Access on YouTube. Celtics All Access. Patriots Press Pass, Celtics All Access. I get them mixed up, but they're both great. They're both kicking in season right now, so make sure to go check that out. If McDavid did leave Edmonton, I'm not going to we'll save it for another day about the Bruins. That's like, this is going to sound like a lukewarm take. That's probably the biggest move in the NHL since Gretzky.
Yeah, in the salary cap era for sure. Like,
that's all time.
It is the biggest. It would be the biggest free agent sweepstakes of all time for the NHL, and like not even close. Not
Can you
even a close
imagine?
second.
Like the following planes. Who's going to the meet? Like the Bruins did it. They bring Brady, Ortiz. It's like the same, or they bring the crew they brought for Kevin Durant, like Kelly Olynyk, Isaiah Thomas. Like, what do they like? That would just be so good. I would love that.
I would love it to a certain extent. Like I would need him to sign on like latest July 4th. I could not endure a Shohei Ohtani type, like dragged out free agency. At some point, you're just like, all right, fuck off, sign somewhere, and let's move on with our lives.
Yep. Can I have my summer, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly. So that's all I ask. If McDavid wants to reach free agency, I'll love it so much. I will love the drama and the juiciness of that, and every ounce of juice that I could squeeze out of it as somebody who does this for a job. It would be amazing, but I also enjoy my summer, and I don't want to have to, circle the same wagon for a month
over and over again. I'm with you on that.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see, Pete. What can people look forward to from you at What Chaos?
Yeah, we're ramping up. We're locking in some player interviews. We are putting together plans and preview stuff that's going to start getting executed in the next week or so. So you can find us at YouTube. We're a very visual show. We have a nice little set that we love, great production value. So YouTube first, if you're interested in watching podcasts on YouTube, we're over at youtube.com/@whatchaosshow. And then, if you're a podcast person, we're everywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Podbeam, all those options. We are available.
Well, that's been great. Pete, this has been fun. That's Pete Blackburn. I'm Marinofsky. Bruins Beat listeners, have a great rest of your week.